الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد رسول رب العالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا رب العالمين. نتابع بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى. We continue by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings on مرقات المفاتيح شرح مشكات المصابيح, and we are still with the Babu. So this is Kitab al-Da'wat, the chapter on the da'wat, the supplications, the prayers, and this sub-chapter is on Dhikrullah, is about Babu Dhikrillahi Azza wa Jal wa Taqarrubi ilayh, the section on Dhikr of Allah Ta'ala and drawing near to Him, drawing near to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the hadith, the part of the hadith that we are explaining is وَمَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أَحْبَبْتُهُ. In another narration, حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ, حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. My servant keeps drawing near to me through the nawafil. So the first part of the hadith again, ما تقرب إلي عبدي بشيء أحب إلي مما افترضت عليه. My servant doesn't draw near to me with anything dearer to me than the obligations that I made obligatory on him. And then he says, my servant keeps drawing near to me through the nawafil, the things that are not mandatory. You're doing it to show Allah Ta'ala that you love Him. Because you love Him, you're doing these things for His sake subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for showing off, not for any reason other than for the love of Allah Ta'ala. أي بقرب الطاعات الزوائد على الفرائض, means with the drawing near or the nearness of the acts of worship that are extra and above the obligations. حتى أحببته or حتى أحبه, until I love him, means a full love, because he combined between fara'id, the obligations, and the nawafil, the voluntary acts of worship. Then he says, I'm skipping of course some parts, I'm not reading literally everything, so it's kind of selections. فَكُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ, then, so until I love him. فَإِذَا أَحْبَبْتُهُ, in another narration, if I love him, or when I love him, كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ, then I will be his hearing with which he hears. وَبَصَرَهُ الَّذِي يُبْصِرُ بِهِ, and his sight with which he sees. وَيَدَهُ الَّتِي يَبْطِشُ بِهَا, and his hand with which he strikes. وَرِجْلَهُ الَّتِي يَمْشِي بِهَا, يَدَهُ الَّتِي يَبْطِشُ بِهَا, his hand with which he strikes or he takes. وَرِجْلَهُ الَّتِي يَمْشِي بِهَا, and his leg with which he walks. What does that mean? You keep drawing near to Allah Ta'ala, number one, with the fara'id. The fara'id means fulfill the ibadat, the acts of worship, avoid the haram. That is, all these are fara'id. When you are avoiding alcohol, when you are maintaining your salawat, when you are avoiding riba, usury, taking interest, when you are abiding by the hijab, the full hijab, not the half hijab like this as some of our respected sisters. Yeah, even if some people might be upset, it's okay, inshallah, it's for your own benefit. This is not hijab. The hijab to cover your full hair. Nothing of your hair should appear. That's the hijab. This is not a hijab, right? Because you can see my hair, right? It has to be a full hijab, right? That doesn't show any hair, doesn't show the neck, right? It should cover the neck, cover the ears. That's the full hijab. That Muslim scholars unanimously agreed upon that this is the minimum. This is the minimum requirement for the hijab. And then the loose garment, the loose shirt, or a dress that covers all the way under the waist, covers the hips, and doesn't show, doesn't personify the body parts. That's the right hijab. When you do that hijab, you are worshipping Allah, you are fulfilling this obligation, right? Loose pants. If you like to wear pants, it's okay, but they have to be loose and they have to be worn, above which you have to wear what? Those long shirts or dress, or right? That is the right hijab. That hijab is an obligation. That's the minimum requirement, and unanimously agreed by the Muslim scholars. When you're doing that, you're maintaining your salah. The boys, you're taking care of your family. That's an obligation. You're giving your children their right. You're giving your wife her right. That's an obligation. The wives giving their husbands their right. That's an obligation. All these obligations, okay? You're fulfilling those obligations. You're drawing near to Allah with that. And then when you add to them the voluntary acts of worship. The sunnah prayers, the witr prayer, even though the witr is wajib in the Hanafi school. The duha prayer, tahiyyat al-masjid, fasting the days of Shawwal, 6 days of Shawwal, fasting Mondays and Thursdays, fasting the white days, 13th, 14th, and 15th, and now in the month of Muharram, fasting any days in Muharram. It's the best of fast after Ramadan, as our beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, right? These acts of worship that are voluntary, that you don't have to do, but you're doing because you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're showing your love to Allah ta'ala. You're showing your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These acts of worship with which you draw even nearer to Allah ta'ala, until Allah loves you. So you keep drawing near to Allah, you keep doing those voluntary acts of worship, the obligatory ones and the voluntary ones, until Allah ta'ala loves you. Tell me when it's 15 minutes, tell me. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love you, here in the recording, not on the clock, in the recording, keep focusing. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you, what happens when Allah ta'ala loves you? He will be your sight, He will be your hearing, He will be your hand, He will be your leg. What does that mean? The hadith literally says, I will be His hearing with which He hears. I will be His sight with which He sees. I'll be His hand with which He strikes. I'll be His leg with which He walks. What does that mean? In our colloquial language, someone who works for someone says, for example, to his boss, he says, يقول له أنا سيفك أينما وجهتني أقطع. I'll be like your sword. Wherever you put me, I'm gonna cut. Or he says, like, أنا رجلك أينما وضعتني ضعني حيثما شئت, or حيث شئت. Just put me anywhere. سأكون يدك التي تضرب بها. He says, I'm gonna be your hand with which you hit, or with which you strike. Tamam? So Allah Ta'ala is telling you, when He loves you, He will be your hand with which you strike. He'll be your sight with which you see. What does that mean? Imam al-Khattabi says, يسرت عليه أفعاله المنسوبة إلى هذه الآلات ووفقته حتى كأني نفس هذه الآلات. I will make easy for him those actions that are attributed to those organs or to those senses, and I will give him success as if I am those senses themselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make easy for you your seeing and your walking and your actions that you do with your hands and with your looks. He will make them easy for you and guide you and give you success in that. وقيل, another opinion and understanding which is close, أن يجعل الله حواسه وآلاته وسائل إلى رضائه. Allah will make these senses and these organs and these limbs, He will make them means towards His pleasure. فلا يسمع إلا ما يحبه الله ويرضاه فكأنه يسمع به. He's not going to hear except that which Allah loves and Allah is pleased with. And He's not going to hear or see except that which Allah loves and is pleased with, as if He is seeing by the will of Allah Ta'ala or by the tawfiq of Allah Ta'ala. We all hear and see and use our senses by Allah's will and Allah's power, but Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, when He gives you the success and the blessing to use those senses in the way that pleases Him, that's a sign of His love for you Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. وقيل أن يجعل الله سلطان حبه غالبا عليه حتى لا يرى إلا ما يحبه الله. Allah, when Allah loves you and He will be your senses, means Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and remember this hadith is in Bukhari, and this shows you that the metaphors that the Arabic language is rich with, and this shows you that you can never ever understand everything literally, right? No one ever, no Muslim ever can say that you have to take these hadith literally, right? So he said أن يجعل الله سلطان حبه غالبا عليه حتى لا يرى إلا ما يحبه الله. Allah, when He loves you, He's gonna make the sultan of His love. He's gonna make the sovereignty of His love overwhelming you, covering you, until you don't see except that which Allah loves. You don't hear except the thing that Allah loves. You don't do except that Allah loves. ويكون الله سبحانه في ذلك له يدا وعونا ووكيلا يحمي سمعه وبصره ويده ورجله عما لا يرضاه. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in that He's going to be your supporter and protector and guardian, protecting your sight and hearing and hand and leg from the things that don't please Him. SubhanAllah. And another meaning, all these meanings you see, they're very close. وقيل معناه, also it said that the meaning of this hadith is كنت أسرع إلى قضاء حوائجه من سمعه في الاستماع وبصره في النظر. I'm faster in responding to His, in fulfilling His needs. In fulfilling His needs, I'm faster than His sight, His hearing when He hears, and His sight when He sees. ويده في اللمس. Here they say in this edition or version, يده في الشمس, which is a mistake. يده في اللمس, not في الشمس. ورجله في المشي. So this meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be faster than your own senses in fulfilling your needs and fulfilling and helping you to do what you like. And those things that you like are the things that He likes subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's part of His love for you, that He guides you to do only what He loves subhanahu wa ta'ala. ويمكن, يعني these are the main meanings. These are the main meanings about this hadith. There is more, honestly. There are levels and things that are honestly beyond our level, beyond the level of many of us. So we're not going to get into that, but I'm going to read to you, inshallah, just to read to you what Imam al-Mulla Ali al-Qari is mentioning here in that meaning, which also has, Allah, let's leave it because he mentioned some important rule, an important rule for Ahlul Sunnah that we have to be aware of. And inshallah, we're going to cover that next class, inshallah, or next session. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who listen to this speech and follow its best. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. We start our dhikr, inshallah. يلا اجلسوا.